Welcome, everyone. It is Monday, August 7th, 2023. This is the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, joined by my co-host here, Mr. Big Marcel, two MMA fans who run this podcast every Monday evening for you guys. And we're excited to talk about UFC Nashville. We'll recap that card. And then in the next podcast, we're going to be previewing UFC Vegas 78. Marcel, good to see you, man. How's everything going with you, man? Obviously been a week. Always miss you, buddy. But how you doing?
Everything is good, dude. It was a fun card last weekend. I think main event kind of lackluster, but hey, man, I'm not going to blame anybody.
Right.
It was a fun card. Looking also forward to talk a little bit Dana White's Contender Series, in the next podcast, what's coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to this as always. And how are you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Appreciate you guys for just coming in late here. It's a little slightly delayed. But we're here. We're doing the podcast. I had a good weekend, Marcel. I told you I saw Queens of the Stone Age. One of my favorite bands of all time. Second time seeing them. Way better than the first time I saw them. I say this every time. Like, it's not just the music; it's who you go with too. I think when you see these concerts, and I went with my best friend and another really good friend of mine. So it was awesome. Great concert, Marcel. It was a lot of fun. And I actually just got tickets for Tool in November too. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm seeing some really good concerts coming up, guys. I'm really excited. I'm a huge music fan, so any like hard rock type of music like that, alternative. That's my thing, man. So, anyways, Marcel, looking forward to going to those concerts. But we're here to talk about MMA, right? So let's get into it. Let's get some comments here, boys. We got Glenn. By the way, Marcel, I found out who Glenn is. I found out who Glenn actually is, and
How did you?
Well, he reached out to me about something else.
Okay.
And nice. I found out who he is. I think you know who he is too, but
I know who he is.
Oh, you don't? Well, I just found out. He doesn't want me to say it on the podcast, though. He wants to keep it a secret.
I know who he is, but he also told me to not say who he is, so I always kept it never said who he was.
Yeah, so now I know who you are, Glenn. So I appreciate your you reaching out, buddy. Octagon updates. What's going on, man? Knox, man, all you guys in the chat. This is awesome, dude. Oh, I miss Marcel's face especially, man. Every week, dude. I look forward to Monday. Especially when you have a fresh haircut. I gotta shave them. Look at me, man. Come on, guys. Look at this. This is like I gotta shave, man. Too lazy though. Patrick, what's up, man? Mike, what's going on, man? Joe, what's up? Oh, that was crazy, Mike. Are you guys gonna do Belter? Yeah, we'll preview it briefly on the next podcast, and also Contender Series, which is tomorrow. We'll go through those quick. It won't be like the long preview like you for UFC. Oh, Queens of Stone Age is the best. Yeah, amazing comeback for sure. We'll do the preview on the next podcast. I want to give you guys shit for thinking Asu and Osborne was a really close fight. Well, at least I picked Asu. Marcel's the dumbass who picked Osborne.
You can listen, Gabe. I love you, respect you. Can be all the shit you want, man. I mean, you're all right. I saw the comment. I was like, maybe I go back to this one when he's not right, but you was right. I was like, I never see this comment.
Asu dominated that fight. I know you like that performance. We got some scientists here. This is a funny comment. I heard Dana went to take a shit during the main event. We'll get into that fight in 1 second here.
There he is.
Marcel took over my fight card to get better. Love him. There you go. All right, let's get into it, boys. UFC Nashville. All right, so overall, I kept it light, Marcel. I kept it light. And it was an okay night. I just kept it light because I told you a lot of these fights I wasn't 100% sure about. Picks wise 7-5, but I did make a slight profit, so I'll take that. And really, it came down to Sandhagen because he was my most confident bet of the night. I ended up just playing him straight at the end. I know the line was high, guys, but honestly, like, think about it. The ROI is still pretty good for a guy that dominated the fight. This fight wasn't close. Really, he should have been a way bigger favorite when you think about it. I think after the first round, he was minus 800, and that's more accurate, honestly. This fight was complete domination, Marcel. Now, was it the most exciting fight? No. Let's be honest, it wasn't. It was a boring fight, but first off, when you're betting on a guy, I'm like, just take him down, control. Like, it's okay, right? But from a fan perspective, I get it. I get it. I get it from Cory's perspective. He had an injury. He's hurt his tricep, if I'm not mistaken. His elbow is injured. He had an injury coming in the fight. Took the path of least resistance. Like, why would you stand and trade with Font? Font, that's the way he's going to win, by knocking you out, right? Why would you not take him down and control him? He has some of the worst takedown defense in the division. He got taken down all 7 attempts by Cory. And I'll give Cory some credit, man. His wrestling looked great. It looked awesome. I figured the grappling would come into play. I didn't think it would be a Khabib-like performance. He had 19 minutes and 38 seconds of control time, Marcel. It was just pure ground game domination. by him. But again, Rob Font, look at his takedown defense in the UFC now, guys. 46%. And that's in 15 fights? That is terrible. So he has a massive hole in his game. And Cory talked about it. He's like, well, why would I not take him down? I get it from the fan perspective. You buy a ticket for that. It's not what you expected. I get it. Everyone thought this would be an exciting fight. I did too, right? I'm like, man, if you had to ask me, that was probably one of my picks for fight of the night. It didn't turn out that way. Sometimes that happens. I don't blame Cory for fighting this way. I don't think it gets. I'll say this though. I don't think it gets him a title shot. He got the win. Dana was not impressed. You have to impress the boss too, but at the same time, you also have to win. Just say he went out there and stood in training, got knocked out. Then you're all calling him an idiot for saying he got knocked out because he didn't want to wrestle. So he did what he had to do to win the fight. It just was a boring fight. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on the fight, man.
Yeah, man. The thing is, on the other hand, man, they had all great fights. I mean, the main event was kind of a stinker to watch. Yeah, I know, but I mean, pretty harsh for Cory, I think. I mean, he dominated the fight. Wasn't very appealing to watch. That's true, but Rob Font didn't do shit himself. You know what I mean? He couldn't defend a takedown. Didn't get the back up. And in the 5th round, when he knew he was 4 rounds behind, he went for a fucking takedown. So I mean, what can you say? It doesn't play many favors with UFC, obviously, with Dana White. I think Dana White walked away around the 4th round. So, typical Dana is always throwing a tantrum. So I'm not surprised. But I mean, people are shitting on Cory now. Listen, guys, Cory has been in so many great bangers of fights. I'm not going to shit on him because of this performance. Plus, take in mind, he was injured, like he said, and he played a little bit more safe. And I mean, if you're injured, and people say, what can you do? You can pull out a fight, don't fight, but then you miss a big paycheck. And he showed he has a high fight IQ because he stayed on the fucking card, and he was like, if I get this fight to the ground, I'm fucking winning this fight, So he did that. And he got the win bonus, So, I mean, the show and win money. I mean, can't blame him. And of course, man, for the people watching it who thought it was going to be a banger, Rob Font with his boxing, Cory Sandhagen with his flashy stand-up, his strikes. I understand, but you got to see it from both kind of sides. I understand the fans aren't happy with it, but Cory did what he had to do, and he had a good reason why he did it. So, I mean, I'm not going to blame him for that. People shitting on him all over him on Twitter and on Instagram. I see it anywhere. But, yeah, man, come on. He had so many great fights. I love Cory, man. Doesn't play many favorites again. I think if Sterling wins against Sean O'Malley, I think the UFC likely is going to do Dvalishvili against Cejudo or something. They know they don't give it to Cory. But, then he leads one more, whatever, But the worst thing the UFC can do is give Cory Umar Nurmagomedov again, because that would basically say he took this fight for no reason, only for the money. You know what I mean? Right. This did nothing for him, this fight. And it's very possible they're going to.
Well, that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, if I had to guess. Let's get some comments here. Hey, how's it going, man? Oh, can't click on it. Why can't I click on this? There we go. Suarez saying Jake Paul. Yeah, they all won easily. Marcus, Marcus, how's it going? Before round 5 started, Rob Font's coach, I think Tyson, right? Charte?
Yeah.
Well, he lost every round. He's a finish. Rob starts fight round 5 with a attempted takedown. Poor fight IQ. It was terrible. It was who really expected him to win though? He took the fight on short notice against a guy who's elite, right? I know he beat Adrian Yanez, guys. It was a good knockout, but Yanez is not top 5. Cory Sandhagen is a top 5 fighter.
Plus, Yanez
top 3, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Cory's a great fighter, man. He's so
well-rounded. Yanez wants to stand and bang. He wants to stand and bang as well. He's not really. No, Yanez. He's not really a takedown threat.
Not at all. Not at all. It was a great. Looking back, it was actually a great matchup for Rob.
Yeah,
Font, right?
It was. Yeah.
I know I picked it. I think did you pick Font in that fight? You might have.
Font, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great pick. I mean, I was wrong about that one. I agree with this completely. Never blame a boring fight in the winner. Yeah, it's up to Font to stop, guys. 7 takedown attempts, all of them were landed. So he had 0 takedown percent in this fight. It was horrible. Takedown defense percentage, I should say. I do agree with this though. I don't think it's a title shot. He's not wrong. You're not wrong, Glenn. Or should I say? Well, I'm not going to say your name. But who's the better wrestler, Sandhagen or Suarez? I mean, it sure looked like Sandhagen, right? I mean, Suarez is great though, man. Gabe, it's hard to compare the women's and the men's, and we know Suarez's grappling credentials are unbelievable. And that was an easy fight for her as well. I agree with this too. I mean, to me, honestly, Marcel, I thought it was Khabib out there when I was watching this fight. It was just dominant, top control, pressure, shoulder pressure, moving into side control. It was just an incredible performance. Let's see a couple comments. I agree with this too. I mean, he stayed in the card for the fans. The card, I don't think it would have been canceled, but like, what would have been the main event? Andrade and Suarez, I guess, right?
They would have done that, yeah, for sure.
Oh God. Do you know when hurt the tricep was during the fight? Hey Ryan, I don't know. I mean, he said it was injured before the fight, didn't he? I thought he said
it was. He said that was injured before the fight, but he really hurt it after the first round, I think.
Maybe one of the submission attempts by Font, because I know he had a few submission attempts in the first round, right? Rob Font. So it sure seemed like they didn't credit him with them, but it seemed like it. Hey Pato, no worries, man. We actually started a little bit late today. I had to do something. Hey Juan, what's up? Cory versus Merab. I mean, they might end up doing that. If Sterling wins and then vacates the belt, moves up, they could do that fight. You could play George, what's up? You could play it safer, make it on next day. You can't do both. I agree with George too. I think we all agree, guys, that he had a great performance. He got the job done. He got the win. He got his money. Man, he's not going to get a title shot. I think we all agree on that, right? I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, at least he wasn't like Paddy and asked for fight of the night. You know what I mean? It's like he even was apologetic to the fans. He's like, sorry guys, you know. I mean, they kept booing. So yeah, I mean, a little bit spoiled, you know, because it was a great card. You know,
I enjoyed it. Here's another one. I believe Giannis will crap the top 5. Maybe he's a good fighter, but I don't know. Does the injury help his title chances? Maybe. I mean, you're right. The division might shake out differently. Sagging over O'Malley. I mean, I think we all agree on that. Oh, that doesn't mean O'Malley can't beat Sterling, though. You could, you know, every match is different. But like, if you ask me who's the better fighter, obviously it's Cory Sandhagen. I mean, the guy's a great fighter. This was just like dominant, man, with the wrestling. Like, it was just like a prime Khabib, prime GSP. It was really impressive. Anything else you want to say about this fight? Or should we move on?
We can move on, I think, man.
Well, we got our girl Tatiana. She won the co-main event here with second round guillotine choke. I mean, to me, this fight was also an easy one to call. You have a dominant grappler against someone with a really bad ground game. And we saw it against Blanchfield like a few months ago. You know, Andrade, 4 fights in like 8 months. That's just too many fights. And I think someone last week called, I think it was Glenn, Ali Abdelaziz, right? He's getting her these fights, but like they're not good matchups, and she's getting destroyed. She's been finished 3 fights in a row after looking great against Lauren Murphy, and now she's getting destroyed in her next couple fights. It's crazy how fast she's fallen, Marcel, Jessica Andrade. Like, if you asked me in January, I'd be like, wow, Andrade just had this amazing fight. She's one of the best fighters in the world in her weight class. And now it's like, I think people at the bottom end of the top 15 could beat her now, Marcel. Honestly, like, I understand guys like Blanchfield, Jan, and Torres are good fighters, but like the lack of takedown defense is very concerning. And it sure doesn't seem like she's, really hitting as hard. She hasn't knocked anyone out in 2 years now either. That's worth mentioning. You know, she's a knockout artist for the most part. It's been a while. Again, she's fighting really good competition. I don't want to say she's like a scrub or anything, because she's not. She's a former champ. She's a great fighter. But I just feel like this is the decline of Jessica Andrade. I don't think Suarez looked amazing. She got the job done. She looked good. She got the bonus. She got the finish. I get that. But honestly, Marcel, the last 2 fights that she's came back, I still think there's a little rust. You know, if you're still shaking it off. But this is a big win for her because she's top 5 now. So, any thoughts, man?
I mean, I remember after when she beat Lauren Murphy, we were like, maybe she should fight Sang-Wei Lee for the title with strawweight. You know, when she beat Murphy at flyweight, and then she took that short notice fight against Blanchfield, and everything went wrong after that. You know. Yeah, I mean, what can we say about Suarez? Listen, man, I want to see her fight for the title. You know what I mean? I really want to see her fight for the title for the simple reason that the only person that can win against her, I think, is Sang-Wei Lee in that division. You know, I give her a good chance. I wouldn't even call her a favorite against Suarez, but I would give her a good chance. And the thing is, the UFC booked. I got a lot of shit for this on Twitter, by the way. The UFC booked Sang against Lemos. I don't think Lemos should fight for a title. You know. She lost to Jessica Andrade, then won against Watterson, and she got the win over Rodriguez, which is a good win. If you look back at it now, Verna won against Rodriguez as well. That's not even that good of a win, you know. Yan Shonan beat Andrade. She knocked her out. You know, Suarez submitted her in the second round. She lost to her first round submission. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't put Suarez against Yan Shonan. I know many people want to do that, but I think both girls are deserving. You know what I mean? So this Zhang Lemos fight should have never been booked, in my opinion. You know, I would have booked Zhang against Yan Shonan, you know, but they want to do that obviously in China, but I don't know if they're going to do it in China. And then you could do the winner against Suarez, for my opinion, but that's how I think about it. Suarez, don't think it was super spectacular what she did. She did enough in the first round to get to 10-9. I think she was a little bit more dominant on the feet against Andrade, which is a compliment to her. Andrade would be normally thinking she's better on the feet than Suarez, but Suarez did pretty decent. And in the second round, it was over the moment it hit the mat and she had the guillotine in. So, good win for Tatiana Suarez. And I'm really curious what's next for her, man. She's really good. We knew that for a long time. And let's hope she can finally now stay healthy and can get the streak going because, man, I think she can dominate the division for a long time if she is able to stay healthy and to even more improve.
Yeah, agreed. I was just reading about her contract. Some guys were mentioning. Yeah, apparently she had a 10-fight deal before Ali took over, and Ali's getting her more money, but like he's getting her more money, but really horrible matchups. So I kind of feel bad for Jessica because like she went through a divorce and like going through separation, as I know, it's not easy, and she also talks about how expensive it is. Like she said she spent all her money on lawyers for a divorce, and that's not good. So she needs the paycheck, Marcel. That's why she's taking these fights, but it's hurting her career too. So got some comments. Sinister, what's up, man? Glad to have you here, buddy. Tatiana and Apache mixed Ultimate Power couple. Oh yeah, both are really. We talked about this all the time. Like they're training their jiu-jitsu all the time. Lemos and Jang should have been booked for April. Yeah, it was a little bit far away. Marina and Andrade haven't once to sign with LB. That's true. Why they leave OTR, I don't know. I don't know enough about the management stuff. James is the guy to ask about that. He knows way more about, or Marcel even, not me.
What was the question? Sorry.
Just said why they leave OTR.
Yeah, I have a story about that, but I'm not going to share that in public.
Yeah, there's something you can't say in the podcast. I get it. Janjadoba. It's Janjaroba, but the way that John Anik says it, it's like stuck in my head now, Marcel. But yeah, she, she would have. I don't know if she would have been better test, but maybe because like this wasn't much of a test, honestly. Yeah, exactly. From the fighters at 115 are booked for a fight, who'd try to book Andrade next? If you were her manager, all right, let me take a look at the rankings because she has to fight someone ranked. She's not getting cut. I'll say this about Andrade. She could lose probably 5 or 6 fights and wouldn't get cut, So she'll get at least 1 or 2 more, I would imagine.
And she always takes short notice bouts, as well.
She will. She'll help. She's a company fighter, She's did this her whole career. She made her debut on short notice against Liz Carmouche at 135. I remember that fight. She actually did really well in the first round. They got finished, but looking at the rankings, has she fought Michelle Waterson Gomez yet, Andrade? Have they did that fight before? I don't think so.
I can't remember, maybe, but
I don't think so. No, so that could be the fight. That's never. Wow, I'm surprised that's never happened. No, so that makes sense because like you have 2 veterans. I would say that fight makes sense. Luana Pinheiro, if they're trying to build her. Amanda Ribas, she lost. I think she lost her last fight, right? She got finished.
Yeah,
could do that. Yeah, if she moves back down to 115, which she should, because she's not a 125er. Yeah, any of these fights make sense. I mean, honestly, Marcus. But again, I could see her like, Let me ask you a question. If they matched her up with number 14, Tabitha Ricci, who wins? It's a good fight, right? It's a good fight.
It is. And normally you wouldn't think about it listen, man, the thing is with Andrade, you have the feeling that she still wants to fight, but she doesn't have that real fire. You know what I mean? And with Tabitha Ricci, I feel she has really that fire to become still go to the top. You know what I mean? It's a totally different path both girls have right now. So it's difficult to see. But yeah, I mean, probably we go with Ricci here,
I feel like they're going to try to build Andrade against prospects, Like Ali is going to try to argue for a top 10 matchup. He might get it against, like a contender like a Rodriguez or Torres. But I am looking at those bottom end of the division fighters like Pinheiro, even Ricci. If I'm the UFC matchmaker, that's what I'm doing, right? Like, aren't you trying to build a new prospect offer? That's what I think they do. So we'll see what happens. You have to factor in age of potential as well. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Can see the Rhodes trilogy. Yeah, that makes sense too. Actually, that'd be really good. No, she's not going through divorce. She's already got divorced. But there's an article on AG Fight, Crazy Pop though. You can Google it. I just read it myself. AG Fight had an interview with her like earlier this year. She went through divorce. She said she just lost a lot of money in the divorce. I mean, it sucks. You could do Andrade and Hill. It'd be a rematch, right? The first fight was, I want to say 2015 or something, and it was fight of the night.
When Hill came back from Invicta, right?
Crazy fight. I think it was short notice for her, and she put on a good fight. Yeah, and that's when you kind of were like, well, at least I was like, oh, Hill's not that bad anymore. And Hill's, had a good career since then. So, All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. Wow, I mean, what a knockout. Dustin Jacoby just destroys Kennedy Nzechukwu. First round, caught him with a right hook and ground and pound. I don't think the stoppage was early. People are saying it's early stoppage. I think it was fine, personally. The dude got dropped. He was getting ground and pounded with heavy hammer fists, and the referee stopped the fight. I think the stoppage was fine. This was a great knockout for Dustin Jacoby. He needed this, right? It's crazy, right? Like, he had those last couple of fights. The Azamat fight, he lost for sure, but the Roundtree fight was bullshit. Like, it kind of stalled his momentum, right? Remember, I was so angry because I remember betting on him last year, and I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, he clearly won that fight. But, gets back in the win column here, Marcel, with the big win. Go ahead.
I think I'm always watching the Sherdog with Keith Chillen and Van Duffy as well. I think Keith said, like, I had to go to the toilet, and when I came back, I saw the interview in Khalil Roundtree, and I was like, is he retiring? And he's like, what the hell, he won? How is that possible? Yeah, same thing. I thought it was a little bit early, the stoppage, not gonna lie. Would it have been... Did it any matter? I don't know. Maybe he finished him with 2 more strikes, But I thought it was a little bit early. But nonetheless, I'm happy for Jacoby, man. Like you said, he got screwed against Khalil Roundtree. Then he had that Murzakanov fight, lost the first 2 rounds clearly, came back in the 3rd round after Murzakanov was injured, but didn't do enough, And he needed this win, Kennedy was actually on the up, on the going up. And he got caught with a good counterpunch, Yeah, good for Jacoby. I'm actually happy for him. I think he's a good guy, and I always liked him. And I'm happy he got the win for Kennedy. Yeah, it sucks, Finally, the chance to get in the top 15. And too bad, not going to happen. And Jacoby keeps his spot, so good for him. Was a good fight until it ended. It was pretty quick, So
it was fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows Kennedy, whenever he gets these steps up, he kind of loses, right? That's the problem. I like Kennedy, but he's not a top 15 guy. I think he's kind of proven it now. What's his record in the UFC? 6-4. He's borderline top 15, but Dustin's the gatekeeper to the top 15 at this point. And you do MMA math, Marcel, right? Like, Dawoon Jung and Jacoby both knocked out Kennedy. Dawoon Jung's fighting Carlos Ulberg. Is that the fight?
Yeah.
I would imagine if Ulberg wins, I would imagine they pair him up with Dustin Jacoby, right? That would be the fight, right?
Oh, the UFC really wants to make Ulberg a big thing, You know that he's like Adesanya's teammate. And listen, man, I'm not gay, but he looks good, So they want to build on him, obviously. So yeah,
they do. But I think if he wins his next fight, he's going to get a ranked opponent because it'd be 5 straight wins. You can't just keep giving unranked guys forever.
No, I agree.
So I think that'd be the fight, and it'd be a good fight. That's what I would imagine. A couple comments here. Yeah, I know he doesn't use his reach well. Oh, I missed this comment by Gabe. He thinks they're going to match Andrade and Polyana Diana. Yeah, another fighter that quote unquote looks good, right, Marcel? That's what you like to say. But you like to say it about Ulberg. I like to say it about Viana. Okay. Who do you see Umar fighting? I mean, they might just do the Cory fight, Jack. They might do that fight. He trained Ulberg, but Ulberg gassed out in that fight. Ulberg destroyed Kennedy in the first round, and then gassed out, and I think it was his debut too. So it was he's got a lot. Think about Ulberg only had 4 fights before the UFC, right? He had no fights. He's had half his fights in the UFC now.
I think he was 3-0, and the UFC almost always
adds an extra fight.
Much 5-0 or 6-0. I don't know where this fight's coming from. Did they put the Muay Thai fights into this MMA record? They're like,
I don't know.
Let's go.
They might when they put the grappling matches on top of LG. All right, Kennedy always gets hits a lot. Yeah, that's the thing. So basically, I picked Kennedy because I assumed he could take a beating for a round and then come back late. But again, I should have known better. He's fighting a glory caliber kickboxer. Even though I think Dustin's on a decline, honestly, it was a bad pick in hindsight. I personally thought it was an early stoppage, Jacoby and Dawkins. Yeah, I don't think Dawkins wins that fight. We'll talk about that next podcast. But Khalil would be good too. I mean, that'd be fine. The rematch, because they should right that wrong, But we'll see. All right, next fight. Another performance bonus here for Diego Lopez. Gets the first round triangle armbar over Gavin Tucker. I mean, what a fucking submission, right? This was maybe the submission of the year. This was incredible. Was really surprised how many people were picking Gavin Tucker based on that layoff and the fact he's 37. Was really surprised. I think Gavin gets cut. I don't think he's in the UFC after this fight. But regardless, great win for Diego Lopez. I think he's right now, I think people would consider that the submission of the year. If I had to guess, Marcel, it was pretty damn good, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I love Diego Lopez. Great guy. I mean, how do you become from basically unknown to be one of the most loved fighters in the UFC?
I know, right?
It's crazy.
When he fights too. in 2 fights.
Yeah, 2 fights. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, man, beautiful win for him. You know, the referee didn't even saw the tap, but he just released it. He was like, "Yeah, he tapped. I released it." So yeah, good for him. I've heard that he wants to be on the Mexico card, or the Mexican Independence Day card on September 16th.
Makes
Do it.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, his
All right,
teammate is on it.
Who's he fighting? We're gonna make the match right now. Who's he fighting?
I have no idea. Let me think. Who can we match him up with? 145.
Yeah, let me take a look right now. I'm gonna look at the list of fighters.
Can we do the winner of Swanson against Dawodu?
I think it's too soon. I also feel
Yeah.
like they'll take damage in that fight as well. So it's got to be someone that's willing to take a fight at short notice, or not short notice, but quick turnaround. I would guess it'd be someone that won recently. Then, right? Would you have to guess? I don't know. It's hard to say. I really don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at the record. So he's 1-1 now in the UFC, right? The Lopez.
Yeah, Gabe, he's Brazilian through, but he's with a lot of Mexicans all the time. He's also training Alexa Grasso, so obviously. So he wants to be on that card. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fights you could do for him. Honestly, there's a lot, Marcel. Like, again, it depends who's willing to step up on again a month's notice. I'm just looking at that Melquizael Costa guy looked great, and he's 1-1. Lucas Alexander's 1-1. Blake Builder's 1-1. These are guys that are 1-1. Just looking at the same record, because I feel like that's who they'll match up against. Someone like that. I mean, yeah. I mean, personally, I would love to see him fight like a Pat Sabatini, like a grappler. That'd be awesome. But I feel like they're going to give him like probably a striker that has a bad record in the division, because I do feel like they're trying to build this guy up a little bit. He's a good fighter, man. So
I like the two suggestions in the chat. By the way, I like them both a lot. The 2 latest suggestions, which are there.
Made the train. Yeah, I thought about Arosa too, because he's willing to take short notice fights. So again, it wouldn't be short notice, but it'd be like a month. So it's not like a full camp. It's not.
Yeah, and I would be doable. It's both same management. So.
Rosa is too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could easily see that being the fight, because I actually was just looking and I thought that too. Lopez versus Dawodu, Woodson. I mean, Woodson would also make sense because he just won that fight, right? So we'll see. I agree, George. Visually, that was incredible. The way he like tapped him out and got up. I thought he like what happened? Like, did he tap, or was it a technical submission? I wasn't 100% sure.
I thought he tapped. I thought he tapped.
Okay, so he probably did tap then. Okay, I wasn't 100% sure. I was like, holy fuck! Like, what a fucking the way he got up and like jumped on top of that was amazing. That was fucking awesome. We're a big fan of Lopez on the podcast. This guy's a good fighter, man. He's fun to watch.
Besides that, super nice as well. Sometimes talk to him. He's a super nice guy. So yeah, I wish him nothing but the best.
Tanner Boser defeats Lexa Kamur decision. Lexa Kamur is basically I shouldn't say is, but in this fight, he basically was like a walking punching bag. He absorbed so much damage in this fight. 120 significant strikes landed for Boser. The fight was not close. A lot of people pick Kamur because of the youth and the potential, but like, when they say Stipe Miosic's training partner, Marcel, they really mean Stipe's beating the shit out of him in training camp. That's basically what he does. Stipe's like just beating him up. This dude is tough. He's got a good chin. He's not UFC caliber, Marcel. I'm pretty sure he gets cut. You think so?
Yeah, man, I would think so as well. I'm not very high on him. The only thing that can keep him on is maybe with a Stipe can get a good word for him in. By the way, what was funny, man? He got married, right? Alexa Kamur, and his girlfriend's name is also Alexa. So
no way.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. So that's really
that's crazy.
Yeah, you write it differently, but it's also Alexa. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Tanner Bosa did what he had to do. He really needed a win. I'm happy for him. He finally got that win. Landed some hard shots, dude. Cameras keep staying on. Not the best fight I've seen, but I was happy for Bosa. He got the win, and he really needed that one.
Right. No, I agree completely. I'm checking out his Instagram. I had to check out his. Is that his wife? You said. So
yeah.
Spells it really different.
Different, but
she's. I think she's what? They're Bosnian, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serbian or Bosnian. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think this does much for Boser, to be honest. I will say this: the fight was a little better than I thought, because it was basically just like a stand-up slugfest. But like, this should have never been on the main card. Never. We knew that. And rounding out the main card, we had Ludovic, Mr. Highlight Klein, winning a decision over Ignacio Bahamondes, and he looked great. I got to be honest, Marcel, when I saw him at the weigh-in, he looked absolutely jacked. He looked in phenomenal shape, and I was a little bit worried because Baham Mondays was the one bet that I did lose on this card. I shouldn't have been.
I
so
think many
confident.
people did.
Yeah, a lot of people lost on him. I've been hiding him the whole time. I bet on him in all his fights. So I'm like, I'm not going to get off the wagon now. In hindsight, that last fight with Ogden was not very impressive. I thought it was just a bad night for him, but maybe he's not as good as I thought originally. His takedown defense is pretty bad.
Bad.
It was really bad. And Klein he's a smaller lightweight, but if you watch the win, he put on a lot of like muscle and mass, and he looked great, man. Klein is a good fighder, man. We've underrated him a little bit in this podcast, Marcel, after that loss to Landwehr. I haven't picked him once, and he's 3-0-1. I think I did pick him against Herbert. I actually thought he won, but they had a low blow or something. But that's the only fight I picked him to win. The other 3 he's won, and he's won as an underdog. So that fight with Mason Jones last year, huge underdog, right? So Mr. Highlight now is 4-2-1 in the UFC. He's a pretty good fighter, man. Any thoughts on this fight?
The thing with Ludovic Klein is, man, I don't think he looked good against Herbert, and I was actually surprised with that because if Herbert didn't get the point deducted with a low blow, he would have won against Klein, and I'm not high on Herbert at all. So he looked good, Klein. I mean, he put on the pressure. His ground game was on point. His striking was on point. He looked really good, and Bahamondes never came into his game, looked really off that night, and that's like we got to praise Klein for that. We can say Bahamondes looked off, but I think that was because Klein looked really good, and man, if he can keep this up, he can go far. I think in the division, But the thing is, like, yeah, I mean, it's. You say he lost twice. He lost against Trezano, but that was a super close fight. I remember could have gone his way, and he lost that to Nate Landwehr in a fight that. Man, that was pretty much a lock, in my opinion, back then, So, yeah, I'm looking forward to what's next for him. I think they should give him somebody that's just outside of the top 15 again, but he's doing well. Cannot say anything else. He's doing well. Although, still, that Herbert fight, it still is in the back of my mind, and it wasn't a good fight, He gassed heavily, I remember, in the 3rd round back then. So, but this time he looked good, so, yeah.
Yeah, it was a hell of a performance. Did he cut too much Baham Mondays, you mean? I mean, he's a pretty skinny, tall guy for that division. He's only 25 still, I think. Yeah, he's got to, I don't know, how old is he? 20, he's turning 26 later this month. I don't know. I mean, I really like the guy, but on the feet, right? On the ground, he's not great, as we saw in this fight. So, and he's been submitted before, so it's not like we knew that he had, an amazing ground game. We knew that he could be beaten on the ground, and that's what happened in this fight. So, yeah. Why did it take UFC so long to sign Lopez? That's a question here. I don't know. I mean, he lost on Contender to Joe Anderson Brito, right? So
that was short notice fight.
Yeah, he had to win a couple more in what was it, Lux Fight League, I think, right?
Yeah, he fought right after that. He fought in Fury FC, and it was I think it was for the title. And I got told then that if he wins, he might go to the UFC. He got screwed in that fight, man. He lost a split decision. And in the fight, I think he won, actually, Yeah. And then he needed more fights to come back, and finally got his chance when Bryce Mitchell pulled out of the fight against Evloev, And as the rest is history, And yeah, I mean, I think Gabe said like, let's do the rematch against Joe Anderson Brito. I was like, why not? When Lopez took that fight against Joe Anderson Brito, that was on a 5-day or 4 days notice, Let's do it with a full camp. Although full camp, if he wants to fight in September again, it's not a full camp. But you know what I mean.
I do. I know what you mean. Yeah, I agree. The weight cut was not easy. I see some suggestions for the fights. ZM would be fine. Miller. I don't know if Miller would fight, they would do that fight, but I mean they could. I think he was supposed. Was he supposed to fight Jim Miller, Klein?
He was, yeah.
They could do it. Yeah. All right. Excuse me. Next fight, we had Kyler Phillips defeating Ione Barcelos decision. I love Phillips in this fight, man. You know what? I honestly thought it was a pretty close fight. I will say that, Marcel. I do think he won 28-28, but it was pretty close. And yeah, I mean, he got the job done, Phillips. But here's the thing: he's an older guy, but he's still like competitive in his fights. I know he's lost 4 or 5 guys, but I would keep him around for at least one more. Would you cut him or would you keep him around, Ione?
I'd like to keep him around, man. He lost to Umar and to Kyler his last 2 fights. I mean, those are not bad losses. You know what I mean? Yeah, he got knocked out by Umar, but the Kyler fight was super competitive, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Phillips? He looked okay. He didn't look amazing. He looked pretty good, I would say.
The problem, the the problem with Kyler Phillips is that he doesn't fight consistently, and the thing is that he had a USADA suspension. He came back from that. He didn't fight for 17 months, you know.
It's a long
And I
time.
think, I think he's really good. You saw his potential in the fight against Song Yadong, you know, that aged amazingly, you know. And
Yep.
I think he's good. He's only lost in the UFC against Julian Paiva, I think, right?
That could have been a draw, that fight.
Yeah,
I don't think I don't think
exactly.
that the scoring is accurate for that fight with the loss.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that he lost that fight.
Me
Because I
too.
think he had a 10-8 round, right? Didn't he? And they didn't give it to him, right?
Yeah, that's his only loss in the
Yeah.
UFC, you know. So I mean, he's really good. I like him, but the thing is, he has to be more consistent, and he got to make sure not to get caught by USADA, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Someone saying it's cardio. I agree. It's not the greatest, but like the amount of movement and footwork he's doing, like it's gonna tap your cardio. All right, next fight. Wow, I mean, I'm glad I stayed away from this fight because I said last week, I'm like, I think Wells wins, but I'm not 100% sure. He was dominating this fight. Like he had, let me check, 3 takedowns, 9.5 minutes of control time, and then
Crazy.
makes one mistake and gets submitted. Like, and he went out cold. It was a technical submission, right? Wow. Carlson Harris is a good fighter. He's underrated. 4-1 now in the UFC. The takedown defense looked bad in this fight, but he won. He found a way to win the fight. I mean, wow. Comeback of the year, right? I can't think of a better one. Can you?
Definitely, man. I mean, it's he was really that's really a huge comeback, you know. He was losing every second of that fight, and out of nowhere he grabs that guillotine and he finishes it. So yeah, very well done by him, you know. Funny thing is, like, sometimes when I put technical submission on the website or whatever, people gonna come like, is why you call it technical submission? Was it so technical that you think it's a technical submission? That's like, no, a technical submission means the guy didn't tap, you know, and he got put to sleep or whatever, got broken arm. I mean, this was a joke then, but that means basically a technical submission because you didn't actually submit it, but you've been submitted, you know. So yeah, I mean, what can you say, man? This was a crazy comeback, you know. I didn't see this coming at all, and yeah, man. I mean, this is a pretty harsh setback, I think, for Wells, to be honest. You know, Wells isn't the youngest anymore, and with a win in this one, I wouldn't have wanted to see him against a guy in the top 15 actually. But right now, it sets him back a little bit, you know. Let's see what's next for him now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Let's see. All right. Next fight, Billy Q defeats Damon Jackson. Really competitive fight. I picked Jackson. Man, he looked great in the first round, Marcel, as he always does.
Yeah.
His striking looked great. Like, I was like surprised. I was like, yes, this is good, you know. But I wasn't confident either way. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like this wasn't a big time opportunity. I didn't think, even though I did pick him as a dog, because again, the cardio, and I should have picked Billy Q because I knew his cardio would be better. The third round was close. It came down to the third round, but Billy Q just had a little more gas in the tank. He had a few bigger shots, and he won the decision. It was a pretty good fight. It should have been on the main card, probably. What do you think?
Man, Billy Q is like a 3-stage Pokemon, you know. He starts like Charmander, then he became Charmeleon, and then he becomes Charizard in the third round, you know. First round, clearly to Jackson, he looked really good, you know, and Billy Q started to keep this momentum a little bit going in the second and third round, you know. And in the third round, you saw that both guys were pretty tired, but Jackson showed more of his tiredness, you know, and Billy was landing a lot of hard shots. I think it was a close fight. It depended on who you gave the second round to. The third round was clear to Carantillo, I think. The first round was for Jackson. The second round, I gave to Carantillo as well. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, he won the fight. The decision was fine. But I thought Damien looked great in the first round.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, just ran out of gas, and that's kind of been the story of his career. Sorry, guys, a few comments here. Good analogy, Marcel. They like it. They like that. Damien's just shave it off, right? What do you have to shave off? The head? The hair? Yeah, I don't like the back tattoo. I don't understand it. The lines, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Unless there's some special meaning that, what is it? The lines.
I don't know, man. I mean, my dad texted me about it. It's like, did he get surgery there? It's like, no, it's a tattoo. He's like, oh, okay.
It's kind of an odd tattoo. I mean, maybe there's some significance to it, but it's kind of odd. Daniel Gracie, yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, all these guys, Tabatini, Brady, this guy, you know, they're all losing now. It's crazy, right? Petrosky's still winning though. Maybe he'll lose to GM3. Maybe this is the clue. Wells didn't respect Harris. I agree completely with the sub attempts. Bisping ruined the fight. Said Carlson's not going to get one. Yeah, that's the thing with MMA. You never fucking know. And actually, I was watching the live line, and it was like minus I think it was about minus 2,000, right before the submission. Because I'm like, oh, you could throw a little bit of money on this and make easy money. But again, I'm like, as soon as it happened, I'm like, okay, this is why we don't lay massive juice on live lines in MMA, because we've seen this happen many times. So yeah, Pat did look good in his last fight. I was talking about the Damon Jackson fight. We got KO'd brutally. Anyways, Cody Durden gets the win. Go ahead.
Pfeiffer is still winning, you know.
Yeah, and Joe Pfeiffer, that was another good one. Anyways, Cody Durden, I was going to give you credit for this. You picked him here. Great pick. He defeats Jake Hadley by decision. Great fight. Honestly, like they didn't get a bonus, but man, the submission attempts. I shouldn't say great fight. Great second round. The second round was, how good was that round? Like, I mean, the amount of submission attempts they both got, crazy, right?
Sick.
So
and
good.
I mean, first round. Let's start with the first one. I think Durden won that first round. He looked good in that one. I think Hadley looked decent as well, you know. But Durden was a little bit better. Cut him open with at the eyebrow, you know. Second round, I think Durden started really well. Almost finished him. Then Hadley got out of the finish. Almost finished Durden, you know. With
Did
the
you score second round for? I want to hear who you scored it for. Second round.
Live, I said could go either way, you know, because the first start or the first part of the round was for Durden and he almost had him out. Then Hadley almost had him out, you know, and then Durden ended up Hadley, you know, on top of Hadley. So I think that was the closest to a 10-10 round, in my opinion. You know how crazy it sounds. Many people were very upset that they didn't give it to Hadley. I think it was recency bias. I think you could give it to Hadley. I also think you could give it to Durden, you know, and I think you could give it a draw because it was really close. Third round, clear round to Durden. Hadley kind of was like, yeah, it's not going to happen, you know. So I think you could give it, I would say 30-27 Durden, 29-28 Durden, or if you 30-28 Durden, you know.
Yeah, Durden's an underrated fighter, man. The wrestling, right? I wasn't sure about this one, honestly, because I knew he had good wrestling. And he's now 5-2-1 in the UFC. He does slow down in his fights, right? But he had enough gas to finish this one off. And at the end, Marcel, he's like this, like, America, you know, USA. Like, it was hilarious. I thought that was really funny. So good win for him. I would imagine this gets him a ranked opponent, 4 straight wins, right? That should get him someone.
He's booked against Bruno Silva on September 23rd.
So that fight, is that really still happening? Like,
yeah, that's still on.
That's so crazy. You talked to Cody and confirmed this?
Yeah.
That's wild. Wow. So the rare double booking, you don't see it that often. It's happened. The only reason I asked you, Marcel, is because I looked on UFC stats the other day. I don't think I saw it. Yeah, that's why. Sorry?
Phil Haas had it before, right? Phil Haas was double booked before, but it never happened against their own win, I think.
That's right.
It happened later.
I mean, he didn't take a lot of damage in this fight, and it was mostly grappling based. But man, that second round, that submission he had, like I thought he was going to tap. Like I don't know how he got out of it. You know, that was incredible. So hell of a second fucking round, guys. I think you'd all agree with me on that. Makhachev and Durden are buddies. They are now, yeah, but they weren't before. Flyweight Colby kind of reminds you of a little bit the style, and then the whole USA thing. I like this fight, Harrison Renat. I like that fight. I do think Renat deserves top 15 after the way he just destroyed Kevin Lee, but we'll see. Oh yeah, Hamzat was also double booked. He's never fought again, which is funny. It's on Tapology, but then you know, like I know that, but UFC stats, it hasn't been on there yet. That's why I was double checking Marcel. The Sherdog doesn't have it listed, but I don't really go to Sherdog as much anymore. I like Tapology better. Anyways, next fight, Sean Woodson defeats Dennis Buzukja. Yeah, honestly, like, you know what? The guy tried his best on short notice. Took it on, 3 days notice? Yeah. He missed weight. Brutal weight cut. Like, brutal weight cut. Yeah, he had a brutal weight cut. He had to do what he had to do to get in the UFC. This guy's waited a long time. He's won all these fights outside the UFC. Like, I wrote about him in Maverick FC or whatever, Maverick MMA a few months ago, I think, Marcel, where he got a win. Like, that's, you know, regionals team. Like this guy is UFC caliber, but like borderline, you know. So I'm glad he's in. He missed weight. It's not a good look, but I think the matchmakers will give him a pass because of the short notice. Woodson looked okay. He's got what's his record now? 4-1-1 actually in the UFC. So he's got a good record, but I don't know, Marcel. I mean, I know his boxing's pretty good. He throws good body shots, which are nice to watch, but like I think he's beatable, man. I think he's beatable. And that Saldana fight, like I know it was a draw, but that's because Luis Saldana's like got the worst fight IQ. You talk about the worst fight IQ. Everyone talks about Sukumta and O'Malley. What about that fight, Marcel? Saldana and Woodson. Remember how stupid he fought in that fight? The Saldana guy? Like he knocked him out, and then I think he ran top of the cage, and then you know the fight wasn't over. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was crazy. So, anyways, I think Woodson's beatable, and I think if they match up with Lopez, I'm picking Lopez. Like, there's no doubt. They might do that fight. You have anything to say about this fight?
I feel the same way that Woodson is beatable. You know what I mean? I think would have been maybe totally different if Dennis had a full training camp for this one. But
I think Dennis could have won. He had better cardio. I think he could have won. I really do.
So too. But,
he's super tough too. Guy's got fucking a lot of heart, man. Because the end of that second round was crazy. Like he started throwing bombs and you just couldn't get the guy out of there. Also, I don't know if you guys saw it, but like there's this like picture of Woodson as a heavyweight boxer floating around. You see that, Marcel?
No.
Oh, it's so funny. He's so fat at heavyweight. It's crazy. Like this guy was weighing, 220, 230. Now he's 145. So
then he's not more a featherweight, but a fatty weight. Right?
Yep. And then opening up the card, Marcel, we had Asu, your boy. Well, he wasn't your boy. Now he is because I saw your tweet. But
I mean, I give credit to whoever deserves the credit, and he looked amazing,
Look great.
And maybe, and still, I think Ode Osborne isn't a bad fighter, but I think Asu Amabayev looked crazy, good, really good. Control was amazing, and he stepped him. I don't even think was it a rear naked, was it a neck crank? I don't think he had it fully under, but I mean,
they're calling it a rear naked.
I know they call it real naked.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. Got to give him credit there, and looking for what's next for him, man. I mean, flyweight division always can use some new guys. I love the flyweight division, and the flyweight showed again last weekend. With this fight and with Cody Durden against Jake Hadley, that they are amazing. So yeah, I loved it.
Here's the thing: when you finish a fight like this, like it elevates you more than just decision wins.
Of course,
and that's what Cody's problem is right now. He's not finishing guys really. He did knock out JP Bays, but the last three were by decision, right? So this guy Asu might come in the UFC and actually get a higher ranked guy than Cody in his next fight. It wouldn't surprise me.
Possible.
Looking at the rankings, like I kind of feel like they're going to give up on the Sumadarji guy. Honestly, Marcel, after that last fight with Schnell, I think they'll give up on him a little bit, and they might do this fight. And honestly, like, who would you pick? Sumadarji or Asu Amabayev?
Asu Amabayev.
Me too. I think everyone would. So that's maybe the fight they could do. I'm just looking at the rankings. Is Tajir booked? Does Tajir have a fight?
No, he pulled out of the fight against Hadley.
Yeah, so they if when he gets healthy, they could do that. I think someone in the bottom half of the top 15, even Tim Elliott, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Tim Elliott's kind of the gatekeeper too.
He's booked against Mokaev.
Yeah, that's the fight. I'm just looking at the top 10. They got to start getting some of these guys out of there, though. Like Alex Perez, Matt Schnell. These guys are not real top 10 fighters.
Alan Nascimento deserves to be ranked, man, in my opinion.
Yeah, the rankings are a little weird right now. Also, Tyra's not ranked, but he's fighting Dvorak, and he's going to win that fight, so he'll be ranked soon, too. Astro Boy, does he have a fight booked? Astro Boy?
No, not yet.
I mean, it'd be a hell of a fight, but I don't think they'll do two prospects. Maybe, but I doubt it. But it would be a great fight. Anyways, is Malkaev the best fight on the roster? I don't think so. I mean, he was losing to Jafel Filho 2 rounds to nothing, and then he came back with.
He has a lot of potential, but I don't think he's the best yet. But can he become the best? Definitely, it's possible.
He could, but right now the best is clearly Pantoja. I mean, he's the
best is blessed.
So, Pantoja, Moreno, those are the top two guys. I mean, they're kind of neck and neck. And then I don't know if you could. Davidson's moving to 135, right?
Yeah.
Is the fight with Cruz official or no?
No.
Yeah, it might not even happen. But like you have those two guys, then you have Amir, you have Royval, France, and then I think you have another jump down to the guys like Nicolau and Kopp. Kopp could actually be a top 5 guy too. I think Kopp.
Possible.
Who's he fighting? Kopp's got a fight booked, right?
Cara France.
Yeah, that's a hell in Sydney. That's a fucking good fight. So I would imagine. Do you think the winner of that might? Okay, Amir's fighting for the belt next, I guess, right? The winner of that. Pardon, Royval. Oh yeah, Royval too. I think Amir's going to get the title shot though instead. That's what I think.
I was thinking that he would get it, but I don't think they do another title fight in Abu Dhabi. I think they only do Islam against Oliveira. So maybe not.
I think they're going to put 2 on that card. I think they're going
to. I think they put the co-main event probably Chimaev against Paulo Costa.
So the Leon and Colby fight, you think in New York?
That's what I think. Yeah.
That's what you're hearing that, or okay, that makes sense. There's co-main event right to Jones and Stipe. So
and maybe another title fight under that. Maybe
I could see 3. I could see 3 title fights. All right, get some comments here. Who stock dropped the most? I mean, Marcus, I think this one's pretty obvious. The top 2, really, there's actually quite a few that you could pick, but it's pretty clearly Rob Font, right? I mean,
honestly, not to me, but I think to many people, Sandhagen as well. Although that's not
really.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, but not.
That's sad. I mean, the guy he had 20 minutes of top control. Why would he?
Of course. But
what the Jets Bleed fans are saying?
Yeah, obviously, not us, but a lot of people think that way. I think.
Like, like controlling a guy for 20 plus minutes is not easy to do, you know? And also, like, it was the way he was getting the takedowns were absolutely beautiful. The timing of them, like,
you would know better. I never controlled a guy for 25 minutes, so you would know better, maybe.
I trained a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I wasn't very good at it, but like I did train a little bit, and like it's hard to control guys. Even as a bigger guy, like if guys have good technique, they can sweep you, right? But yeah, I would say probably Font, but also there's a few like Kennedy, you know, Tucker's career in the UFC is probably over. Honestly, Jeremiah Wells too. You know, he lost in devastating fashion after dominating the fight, and he's 36. So it's like that's a really bad loss for Jeremiah. Anything else you have about this card, Marcel? Anything else you want to say about this card?
I really enjoyed the card, dude. I mean, from beginning to the end, almost to the end. It was a fun card. You know,
It's a pretty good card. I would give it like a 7 personally. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I would go even maybe a 7.58. I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it. There wasn't a fight where I was like, yeah, maybe Boser against Kimura, but
even that was like not that bad. Honestly.
It wasn't that bad, but I mean, I don't want to watch it back. So I mean,
true.
You know that there are fights you want to watch back, and there's fights you don't want. I think Wells against Carlson Harris wasn't great either. You know, it was very one-sided, but until Carlson got that submission.
If there was fight of the night, what do you think it would have been?
It would definitely either been Billy Q against Damon Jackson or Cody Durden against Jake Hadley.
Yeah, I agree.
Would go Billy Q probably against.
By the way, we'll give the UFC some credit. They gave them 5 bonuses, so good for them. But they're still cheap bastards.
It looks a lot, you know, 5 bonuses, performance, like 5 performance. There's no fight of the night. It's just actually 1 extra bonus.
I know,
you know? So.
I know. I figured they would do that because I was looking at it, I'm like, just who you gonna snub here? Like maybe Harris because it was, you know, last second, but it was such an amazing comeback. You can't snub him. So yeah. UFC Nashville better than Paul versus Diaz. I only watched the main event. All right. I think we're good on this card, guys. So we'll just move quickly to we'll talk about Jake Paul just for a second here, Marcel. Did you watch the fight?
No, man.
I watched the fight, guys. Marcel is really against Jake Paul. He's not huge. You're pretty against him, man. Like I don't think you've ever watched his fights. No, you don't watch his fights, bro.
I've seen his fights against Anderson Silva. I see that fight.
Okay, fair enough. It wasn't a great fight. You know, Nate again just durable, right? You know, just took a beating, but he got dropped. I think it was the 4th or 5th round. Jake clearly won the fight. It wasn't the best fight ever, but it wasn't bad either. I picked Jake by decision, so I got my pick exactly right. I just figured the durability of Nate. Who do you think he fight? Do you think they do this MMA fight? Since we'll go back to MMA because that's your bread and butter, Marcel. Do you think they do this fight in MMA? I mean, I like why? Like, I don't think he could. I know he's got a wrestling background. I get that, but like, can he really stop like a guillotine choke, like real life this time, not fake one in like? What do you think?
Nah, man. I mean, Jake probably fights Jorge Masvidal next or something. You know,
in boxing.
Yeah, I mean
that fight makes sense too. That makes sense. Do you think they do Nick Diaz against Logan Paul?
Yeah, let's hope not. I don't know.
Seems like it though, which is sad. Yeah. It seems like it because Nick wants a fight. He wants a payday. You know, they want a payday, right? But again, I give Nate credit. All these people were like, Nate's going to give up and quit in the first round. That's not how Nate is. I mean, Nate's a born fighter. He's tough as fucking nails. He got dropped. He could have easily, you know, just taken the easy way out there, but he didn't. And he made the distance. I'll give him credit for being tough. He's a tough dude, but
he almost got the guillotine.
Pardon?
He almost got the guillotine.
He almost did at the end. That was funny. Yeah, that's the thing, Joe. When he actually fought a boxer, which was what's his name? Tommy Fury, he lost, right? So against these MMA guys, though, they're easy fights, guys. They are. The PFL will score a big win if they're able to book it. I mean, it looks like they want to, but I think didn't they say he wants $10 million or something? Like they're not going to give him that. As much as Jake Paul shits the UFC fighter pay him, know how much the fighters get paid. Probably not much. The undercard fighters, probably not much. I'd imagine Nate made a lot of money, right? Jeremy Stevens lost. I didn't watch the fight. Did you watch it, Jeremy Stevens?
No, man.
He lost to Chris Avila. I didn't watch the fight, but I heard.
Jesus.
Chris Avila beat the shit out of him. That's what I heard. I didn't see the fight. If anyone watched that fight, throw it in the comments. But from what I heard, completely one-sided fight.
I didn't even know.
Which actually surprised me because I remember I watched that Stevens and Aldo fight a few months ago, and he had a draw in that fight. It was actually a pretty good performance by Jeremy. Yeah. Durden Hadley was a good fight, man. It could have easily been fight of the night if it was, if they gave an extra bonus out. All right, we'll quickly go to PFL here, guys. Marcel, did you watch this card?
I've seen some stuff. Yeah, definitely saw the how do you say it, the finish of what's his name again? I forgot his name. Help me out.
Bubba Jenkins.
Bubba Jenkins got finished. Yeah. against Jesus Pinedo.
So this is fucking weird. So Pinedo missed weight, but he still won the fight, and he's moving on to the finals. I don't agree with it. I think if you miss weight, you should be disqualified. What do you think?
Actually, you should. It's a tournament format, right? You got to make weight to fight in the tournament format. But yeah, it's. I mean, do you give Bubba Jenkins like a free entry to the final? I don't think that's good either. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe you should replace the guy. You should have backup weigh-ins. You know what I mean?
I don't know. This isn't sitting well with me. Like, listen, the guy had a great win against Lofton. Even this was a great win. He looked great. I mean, he's looked outstanding to Jesus Pinedo, which is like surprising in a way. I mean, when you think about it, I think he was 1-1 in the UFC. He was really young too. He lost to McDessie and they cut him. The guy probably should have got a little bit more rope, you know. But this is a big win. It's just that I think there's a huge asterisk next to it. He missed weight. I don't know. I don't agree with it. This is hilarious, but he's not wrong. I mean, I don't know if they cut the guys, but they're all on the suspended list, right? Yeah, he's looked great in PFL. If you've been betting on him, you're making money. I mean, I obviously thought Jenkins would control the fight of the wrestling, but he's just been able to win. It doesn't sit well with me that he's moving on with a weight miss. I understand they deducted a point from the unofficial scorecards or whatever, but it's still, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. Anyways, Josh Silveira got the win as we expected. He's moving on to the finals, and Impa's moving on to the finals. Impa Kasanganay had one of the best knockouts of the year over Martin Hamlet. This is crazy though. Like, this guy was fighting at welterweight in the UFC, wasn't he? Now he's at light heavyweight. He's going to win the $1 million maybe. Like, who would you pick right now? Actually, I'm asking you right now. Who are you picking? Josh Silveira, Impa Kasanganay. Who would you lean? It's tough, right?
Yeah. By the way, wasn't Impa at 185 in the UFC?
He fought
Buckley then. Buckley was
both. He fought
185.
Buckley at 185. He fought Patullo at 185. And then he fought Sasha and Carlson Harris at welterweight.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. He went 2-2 and they cut him. I mean, the guy he actually was a pretty good fighter. I was
sad that they cut him.
I liked him. I like him, but he's won 5. He lost in the Eagle FC, and then he's won 5 straight fights since then. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is good for this guy. You know, I'm happy for him. He's actually 4-0 in PFL. He's found a home. You know, and by all means, he's a great dude, man. I remember when he lost to Buckley. Like, his face was plastered over the inner getting, you know, head kicked, and he took it in stride. You know, he took it in stride. So this is a good fighter here. I like Impa too. I mean, a lot of people are saying they like Impa. I think everyone likes Impa. Crazy Impa. It's crazy. Like, good for him. You know, but again, the level competition, like I said, it's not that high, especially their light heavyweight division guys. Like Ty Flores is a semifinalist. Martin Hamlet. These guys are not great fighters. You know, honestly, Josh Silveira is like a pretty good fighter, but I think Impa's got a great chance to win. And then also, I forgot this fight. Gabriel Alves Braga defeated Chris Wade by split decision, Marcel. You had the classic 30-27s on both sides. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. We know we picked Wade here, but Braga, you know, is a good young prospect, so he got the win. Elvin Espinoza won, Thad Gene. All the favorites pretty much won on the prelims too. So, like, the big upset was Pinedo again. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about this card. Yeah. All right, Marcel. I think we're good for that. Is there anything else you want to talk about here before we start the next podcast and do the preview for UFC Vegas 78? Or are you good?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, guys. I'm just going to end this show and then we'll start the new one up. So just give me a minute here. I'm going to tweet it out and we'll break down UFC Vegas 78. Talk to you guys in a minute. Peace. Talk to you soon.